What's up, gang? Let's talk about Loom. Here we are with the action after the last couple of weeks of this boring consolidation move. It might be boring, but I'm telling you what, I'm impressed with what I see, and I don't have too many worries about the Loom price action right about now. And I'm thinking I'm just going to hang on to my Loom for the long term, and I'll show you why. First of all, just looking at this price action here, okay, we had this first major run up and a correction, then we had the second run up, and then we dropped off when BTC hit the dive. And notice how we keep bouncing down near the 200-day EMA, the 200 period exponential moving average line, actually. And now we are sitting somewhat on top of the 50-day EMA. So here's the 50 line, which is this orange one right here. We're currently trading above that line. Okay, so notice that we are also just going past a critical fib circle ring, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, would be the 3.618 fib circle ring right here, which could possibly be a pivot point. Now, let's talk about what that means. First of all, the fib circles are magical. Well, they're not really magical. It's scientific. I'll do a whole nother video and explain to you why. Lots of people have been asking me to explain how these fibs work. It's coming, I promise you. So here we are looking at the chart where the stochastic is just indecisive and weak with this moving up, down, up, crossover, 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 up. And now notice how it looks like the percent K, the blue line, is about to curl over and maybe cross again. We had this bullish cross here and it started to move up. And now it looks like it's going to cross over and go down again. Now, the other thing that I notice here, violent action on the MACD during that big move up. Both the oscillators were way above the zero line, and then we crossed down below when the histogram hit its deepest point in the red right here. Then we languished around, and now notice we are back to the zero line, and we're printing green bars on the histogram. That's interesting. So what I have noticed is that Loom has kept its strength and its position while BTC dumps. So we had the first major BTC dump, which happened right here, and we touched the 200 period EMA. A lot of cryptos, a lot of alts dumped down to their respective 200 period EMA lines, just like Loom. And then we fought our way back up to the 50-day. And what usually happens is we bounce around in between the 200 and the 50 in a consolidation move before we blow by it again. Here are the two possibilities for what can happen next. Possibility number one is the bullish possibility, where we have the percent K staying above the percent D right here, and we pump all the way up into the overbought zone again. And then this MAC crossover, which this would have been your buying trigger, even though it crossed over negative and then it crossed over positive again, which is weak and indecisive. This would have been your buying trigger corresponding to the time when we sat back down right there on the 200 period EMA. So if Bitcoin can hold and move up from 50,000 and not take another dump down to 41K, I think we are going to move up, and we'll probably continue with the bullish movement. A new swing channel, a parallel trading channel where we have higher highs and higher lows instead of what we see here, which were lower highs, but higher lows, okay? So we are above the previous low points here and here. Now we had a few lower lows within the macro, but overall, when you consider the whole chart, these are higher lows. So I'm not too worried. Now, scenario number two, Bitcoin dumps, rejects, and then the price goes down one last time. I'm thinking that we have a possibility of sliding back towards maybe 10 cents here as we would look to test the 200 period EMA once again. Now, the biggest volume node on the 4-hour chart is sitting way down here at about 6.7 cents. That's a worst case scenario. I think that's least likely. It's not probable, but it's possible. We never know. Be prepared for it. I really don't care because my DCA, my line of average is right here because I started buying way back in these days, and I continued buying all the way up until we had this breakout here. So my average price is 5.6 cents. And the rule is when you buy them when they're a dog, in the dog days, where that dog is being lazy and laying on the ground and not budging one bit, that's when you buy. Dog days. Don't ever buy into a run. That's when you get wrecked. So if we do capitulate here and we pivot on this ring, which that fib circle ring could be the pivot to the downside, we probably will correct to some point above 6 cents, this big volume node here, or maybe we'll just stay here. It could have a show of strength. And if we do, whatever the case, we correct down and then we'll probably start that next leg up. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. And also with that negative scenario, we will probably see the stochastic dip down into oversold one more time before we start the next cycle up. And then we'll keep our eyes on the histogram down below. And I think that this action will stay down here if we correct. And then we'll start printing big old humps as we move into the alt hypercycle. All right, so that's all I got. I'd love to know your thoughts. I'm just going to stick in here and hang on to this. I had several points where I thought I'm going to sell my bag and buy back later, and I got too scared. And I'm glad that I did not do that, because there's nothing worse than selling your bag thinking you're going to have a big dip, and then it never dips, and you buy it back at a higher price. So I'm hanging on for the long haul. I'd love to know your thoughts on Loom and the current developments that are happening as they're working in the medical space, trying to solve medical records with the blockchain. I love the idea. So that's all I have for now. This is Carlton, and I'm out.